the Retail Shop Leases Act of 1994, the Act affords extra protection to the tenant in a retail shop lease situation. We have summarised some of the landlord's rights and obligations. To adequately protect your interest before leasing out this premises, here are some things you should be particularly aware of. Disclosure requirements. The Act requires you to provide the tenant a draft lease and disclosure statement at least 7 days prior to signing the lease. The tenant will be entitled to terminate the lease within the first 6 months of the term if you fail to comply with this requirement. Similarly, the tenant needs to give you a disclosure statement and obtain a legal advice certificate and a financial advice certificate before entering into the lease. Pre-lease misrepresentations. Please be very careful of any pre-lease representations you or your representatives have made to the tenant, as the tenant can ask for compensation if those representations turn out to be false or misleading. Note that there is no requirement that the misrepresentation was made with the knowledge that it was false at the time. Personal guarantees. In the case where the tenant is a company, you need to make sure that a personal guarantee is obtained. This is an important safety net for you should the tenant company cease to exist in the future. A personal guarantee will give you the ability to pursue any outstanding amount under the lease from the guarantor. Rent review. The lease must specify the timing and basis of rent reviews. The Act states that the rent can only be reviewed once per year. Although you can combine different methods, for example CPI and market rent, in reviewing the rent, a review cannot be calculated on the higher of the two or more methods. Estimate of outgoings. If you want the tenant to pay some of your outgoings, you must provide them with an annual estimate 1 month before the lease commences, or before the lease is signed. Additionally, you must also prepare an audited annual statement 3 months after the end of the period to which the outgoings relate. Other costs. The Act prohibits you from asking the tenant to pay for your expenses relating to the preparation, renewal, or extension of the lease. Key money is prohibited as well. However, expenses such as stamp duty, registration fees, survey costs, and reasonable mortgagee consent costs are recoverable if provided for in the lease. Assignment. There are further disclosure obligations in relation to the assignment of the lease. You must give the prospective assignee a draft lease and a disclosure statement at least 7 days before an assignment is entered into, and the assignee must provide you with a disclosure statement in return.